Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming the second part of series I have finished / completed. This is an ongoing series on my channel where I'm now catching up back in the old days and then going forward to present day. And as we go to present day, I will post this as I finish 10 to 15 series every time. Even though I've been reading for a series longer, I haven't finished it till later because either I didn't pick up the sequels or it didn't get released, etc. That is the system we're going with. And now, as I said, trying to catch up. Some in this video might not count as a series, maybe. Some wouldn't count it. I feel like maybe I should not count it, but I did back then when I finished them. Said in the first video, every single book or series apparently has its own rules. So there is a rule that there's no rules. So some of these might not count for you, and that's fine. I'm just like, I'm whatever. I'm just rolling with it. Let's start. First of all, we have the Vampire Academy series that, oh my god, I loved a lot when I read them. And it was actually one of the series that I finished like really quickly because I like picked up them all, and I still haven't read Bloodlines, the spin-off. I feel like to get the most impact out of that, I need to reread this, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Vampire Academy follows Rose Hathaway, who is like the protector of another vampire called Lissa, and there's like good vampires that Lissa is, and they are like royalty basically, and they need protectors because they can't take care of themselves. The protectors has a name, but I have forgotten it. And they also have different abilities, and that, yeah, like some have elements, but Lissa has another secret element called spirit that hasn't been a thing before. There's a lot of romance and intrigue, and of course a lot of high school drama. It was the best thing. It was so addicting, and all the drama was so fun, and the characters' Rose sassiness and confidence meant a lot to me. But at the same time, it was like, yeah, the things in here that shouldn't have probably been in there, a bit like, ew, gross. And I don't know how I feel about it this day, and like, it's not a fantasy series I would go to recommend to someone, but it's definitely like something that meant a lot to me and was probably so popular as it was, maybe perhaps because of Twilight. So yeah, I have a lot of good memories of this, and I really like that as it starts off as a simple story with this high school drama. The first book is a bit shaky as well, but when things start falling into place, it's very good. It grows so much, it becomes a much bigger story, and I really like that it evolved and like became not about something completely else, but it evolved in a really natural and nice way. So I really like that. The end was nice, and yay. I then read The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paulinini. I don't know why I can't say his name. I don't know. I began this story many years ago, but before that I watched the movie over and over again and I loved it. Now I don't anymore. I remember I always wanted a sequel because I was so curious for what was happening, and then when I read this series and continued it, I realized that I could see the complete story, and that was the best feeling, to have been watching this movie for years and never knowing where the story would go, and then you actually got the answers here. But yeah, I remember waiting for the fourth book for ages, and then it finally came, and it was very disappointing. I mean, I didn't hate it, I was just disappointed. I expected so much more, lol. I have the Norwegian box set, which is strange for me, but I read them in Norwegian when I read them. I thought this would be too complicated for me to read in English, I don't know. And I also like completed in Norwegian because I read the other ones in Norwegian. I felt it would be weird to change language mid-series. I guess the books got longer and longer, and there is so much happening, so much more complex happening than I thought the story would ever be, even after watching the movie and stuff. So that's great. It's a good solid series. It's a kind of series I recommend to people who wants to start fantasy, because it's not overly complicated and overly hard to read, but it's like really fantasy, so it's a great starting point, especially if you like dragons. It's great. What more to say? It meant a lot to me. I was a very big fan. I'm still a big fan, and I'm excited for his next book. And I'm also aware that there is like a short story collection thing to this. I still count it as I completed this series, even though that is set in the same world, and I still haven't read it. Definitely will. Still count it as I completed though. Yay. We then have the Blade series by Tim Bowler, I believe. It's been many years, I don't remember correctly. And this one I don't have because I borrowed it at the library, and it's these short books, maybe like 100 pages something, following this dude named Blade, and he's like a badass, kinda. I think he got neglected or does he live on the streets. It's kinda sad, and he meets this girl at least that does not have anyone, and it kinda helps her to find a foster family, I believe. Very short, and I remember I borrowed them all in the library. I thought they were fun, but it's not like spectacular, and I don't remember much now. Like, it's been years. How many years? So I finished it in 2013, so it's been 7 years, and I don't like feel like it gave a lasting impression on me, or like that I would talk about it to anyone unless they have read it and mention it. But yeah, that's all. Like, I don't have much more to say about this. It was enjoyable when I read it, but now it's nothing. I then read the series Match by Ali Condi, which was definitely in like Hunger Games dystopia vibe life, and this one I actually finished somehow. I think I read it in Norwegian too. Oh my god. Borrowed them again at the library. This one follows a girl that I don't remember the name of, and she lives in a society where like the government decides everything. They decide when you die, they decide when you get married, who to marry, when you get babies, what you eat, whatever. So it's like very dystopia because of this. And yes, of course there's a revolution, because what else would happen here? This is like a typical YA trilogy back then, where there were like a billion YA trilogies pouring out. And I remember all second books always were like the worst. Everyone hated second book because it all suffered from second book syndrome, and that is where I think it almost came from. And I remember the second book is so boring. Nothing happens. It just introduced this triangle drama for no reason at all, and that was what happened. And I can definitely see like here it suffered a lot. And I don't remember even how it ended, or the third book. I just remember kind of the second book, because what is the thing is that instead of the main character being matched with one person when she's gonna be matched, she gets matched with two. And then like there's like, why? And then she doesn't know what to do because like she was supposed to only be matched with one person, etc. It's a YA dystopia. I know a lot of people loved it and stuff, but I did not like this one. I feel like nothing could compare to Hunger Games for me at this time. I kind of forgotten I finished this, and I think if I get to the point where I get to buy all the books I have read, I would buy this because I want to have it on my shelves, but I wouldn't read it again. Some people might think that's a waste of money, but I like to look at my shelf and be like, I read all these are my trophies for all I read. I like that. Okay, I then finished Infernal Devices, of course, and I actually reread this in 2019, so it's very recent for me to have lived through this whole story. It's the prequel to the Mortal Instruments, set in the same world, but can be read separately. And of course I reread this in preparation for Chain of Gold last year, and it follows Tessa Gray, who is a shapeshifter but doesn't bear a warlock mark, and she meets Shadowhunters and we are thrown into the Shadowhunter world. Yay. It's so precious. Still one of my fave series. As I said, I read it last year, so like it's very fresh in my mind. A lot of details I had forgotten. I think like I didn't love actually the first book as much when I reread them, but like the second two, yes, please, everything. And Jem is my favorite character, if you were curious. Gives so much, and either like the later series, the Dark Artifices and the short stories and everything, this and all the series together, this precious world. Shadowhunter Chronicles give me everything. What more to say? It's still so present in my life this day that it doesn't feel like a distant memory, at least. That is something. So yeah, lasting impression, definitely. They're one of my faves, yay. Apparently, checking my notes, it went like a whole 5 months before I finished another series. There is little reading done in the next few years coming up here, so it's no weird that there's so little done in them. But the next series I finished was the Mortal Instruments, because the last book came out later than the Infernal Devices, so that is why I obviously finished this later, and it does not match the other ones because I couldn't wait, and now I hate everything. Like every time I look at these series, it doesn't match. Oh, I realized that they're all in the wrong order, but I don't bother fixing it. So I have complicated feelings to the Mortal Instruments. While it's the first book in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and I definitely love the Shadowhunter Chronicles, I love the world. I don't love the characters here as much as I do, for example, in the Infernal Devices. I don't love the story as much. So it's like my least favorite in the series, and it's also like because probably I hated Jace when I read it. Now I'm like kind of neutral because it's been so long, and thinking that I want to reread the whole of Shadowhunter Chronicles, but then I have to get through this is what makes me stop for rereading. I liked the first book, and I think my fave was the second, third or fifth one. I do not like the fourth and last one at all. Just saying. The last book was so disappointing. I remember Cassandra kept teasing us that characters and stuff would die, and it was just like the most unimportant characters, almost. What my main issue with Mortal Instruments was that they went around saying, oh, we need this to fix this thing, and then this one character had that thing all along and we all knew it, and then they were like, oh, but you have this thing, we can use that to fix it. And I've been sitting there screaming to my book for the last 300 pages that you could do that all along. That is the feeling I got. I felt like the ending just didn't give that much impact as I wanted, considering how invested I've been in this. But it's also the series that introduced me to Malek, which is like one of my favorite ships ever. I love the world. Love how also it connects with Infernal Devices. So I had mixed feelings about this. I appreciate what it does for the world overall, but I don't know how I would feel if I reread it, but I kind of want to one day. We will see. It's definitely where Cassandra Clare started out, and her later books and other books are so much better, and you can appreciate this though as for their groundwork, I guess. The next one is maybe a series that people wouldn't count as serious, but it is the Bane Chronicles, and this is one collection of loads of 12 or 13 short stories set in the Shadowhunter Chronicle world. So you would say maybe that all these short stories are maybe not as serious, but if you go into, for example, Goodreads, it is written up as its own series, even though it's short stories. Just because things are short doesn't mean it's not as serious. So I'm counting this as a series, because even though like I read them as one book, it's just a collection of a lot of short stories that was released every single month over time. It's the first collection that was released. We have 2 other short story collections that has been released since then, and I know a lot of people didn't like this, but I love this. I love Magnus, and I love following him and learning about him before everything, but also just the different stories where he interacts with the characters we know. Now it's been a long time since I read it, so I don't remember it that clearly. I think definitely I really enjoyed it. It's one of the good boys. I think the other short story collections I like more, but I still like this a lot, and I don't see why people hated it so much. Is this counted as a series for you? Who knows? But for me, it is. It's its own thing, but it's set in the same world, just like Mortal Instruments and From Devices is 2 different series, I guess, even though it's short stories. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm going to the next one. The next one is Beautiful Creatures by Kami Gracia and Margaret Stoll, and this one is a YA kind of paranormal series, definitely popular because of Twilight, I would say, and it follows Ethan, and he meets this girl Lena, and she's an emo and has dark powers, and there's fights between dark people. She's a caster and has powers and needs to choose between being good and dark on her 16th, 18th, 17th something birthday. The thing that made this series stood out is actually you follow the boy's point of view and not the girl's point of view, so that is nice. The first book is like really typical YA generic, and that is fine, but the thing is the second one was so annoying because they introduced again love triangle for no reason at all. This was back then when YA did this, like really like a recipe wise. It's evolved a lot since then. I actually have a full like video review of the whole series on my channel that I filmed years ago. Don't watch it, please. But it's just ironic for me to think about now. I didn't like the series, I think. I think it was okay, but I was very frustrated and annoyed most of the time. And the end, I still remember they used so many books trying to defeat this dude, and they just killed him like so easily, and it was the most annoying thing because they used so long time trying to figure out what to do, and then I just did it so easily, and it still bothers me to this day. So yeah, it's not something I would recommend, and I had plans once to buy the copies to have them on my shelves, but like it's been on the back burn because I didn't enjoy it. And that's all I have to say about this. Then we have The Lord of the Rings by J.R. Tolkien. I finished this pretty late considering how much I love fantasy, but I didn't even finish it in this one. This is like a Norwegian bind-up of all 3 books, and I actually borrowed like English copies from my best friend. And I used a long time, I think. I used 4 months on the first book, and then 1 month on the second or something, and then like 2 weeks on the third I involved. Of course, it's like the typical standard fantasy thing that if you're a fantasy fan you should have read this, but at the same time I can see why it's very like you want to sleep and read it because it's very heavy to read. But I think if I read it now, many years later, I would appreciate it even more. There's good parts. I love the movies. I watch them like every year, but of course a movie and a book is different. I don't know what to say. I even have a full review of this up on my channel too, but don't watch that one either. I don't remember much of the books, and I feel like it's very vague in the way it's written. So like I loved it and appreciated it in a way that now I read it and I felt fulfilled by it. But I also can see that like if I read a book that was like this, that was Lord of the Rings, I don't know if I would have liked it. That's all I have to say. The next series I finished was the Captain Prince trilogy by C.S. Pacat, and this one I reread actually on audiobook when they were finally released, and I'm actually planning to reread them now this year too. Follows Laurent and Damon, and Damon is taken captive because of his brother wants to usurp the throne, and then he is a slave to Laurent, and Damon was the one who killed Laurent's brother. So that is the thing. And do they get a thing? Definitely they do. I know that a lot of people don't like this series. It's very like trigger warning for like pedophilia and rape and a lot of grotesque things. It's a brutal world, and maybe that's not an excuse to include it all, but there's a lot of series like this. That's how the series is, at least, if you were unaware, and I loved it. It's still one of my faves. It is lasting impression, definitely. I loved it when I read it. I remember I read about it online or something and I was very intrigued by it, and now I'm here and I still love it and I want to reread it again. The ending is so perfect, the series is perfect, it is intriguing, so full of politics and plot twists, but romance and sex, yes, oh my god. I don't know what to tell you, it's very good, okay? And it's still one of my faves. So it's also this short story collection thing that is added to this series, and I read all of them as like one, and I know, like, doesn't mean I haven't completed the series. I've completed the main trilogy, so I'm counting it since I finished this back then, and then that came so much later. When I reread the whole series, I will complete that, so it's very soon at least. Just gonna add that in the end to make me feel like I haven't completed it, but I have completed it. Bleh. Next one is just my favorite series of all time, and it's the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. This one is the first trilogy, and I know, like, there is more to the Mistborn series, but this is like its own trilogy and the other one is set 300 years later. So definitely this does think that this kind of completed the first part of Mistborn. I call it Mistborn Series 1, just to be clear. Just my favorite thing in the whole world. I have never read anything to compare to this, to the plot twist, the characters, the writing, the world building. I'm just saying, follows Wynn, who finds out that she's a Mistborn that control elements, after which elements they digest. They have different powers. The Mistborn have like all the powers, or you could be a person that only has like one power. So either all or one, there's no in between here. It's a very determinate rules. And yeah, they are gonna usurp the Lord Ruler. And the first one is a heist book that has been dictator basically of the country for 1000 years. And they're gonna do this, and it's basically like a god. So how are they gonna do this? You need to read the book. It's so good. And even like what the first book is about, and the second book is much slower. The third book, just the payoff and the plot twist, you could never guess. I am still in awe. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this now. I reread the first one last year on audio, and I want to reread the rest and then finally get on to the next series. But like, he's so slow finishing that one, so I'm just like taking my sweet time because I don't like to forget again. That's all. Yay. My fave. Now it's another one that also is like, have I completed this? So apparently that was with every single series in this one. But we have the Earthsea Quartet, and this one is the first 4 books in Earthsea: Wizard of Earthsea, The Tomb of Atuan, The Farthest Shore, and Teanu. Even Teanu was like released many years later because it was first a trilogy, and the Teanu came so many years later. And no, it's like one short story collection thing, and then kind of officially a 5th book, and I haven't read those. So have I read the whole of Earthsea? No, but I feel like this is like the Earthsea cycle in its own. So like when I had read this, I counted this, I'd finished the series, but I guess I kinda also haven't. This is not good. I will definitely include this again when I actually officially finish everything, but I feel like I need to reread everything to get there. But yeah, Ursula Le Guin, one of the most fantastic writers ever. Earthsea is so well written. It's not long, but she used every single word and every single sentence. It's just amazing. I don't see how she wrote. She was amazing, and an amazing voice, and I love this so much. I guess I'm just kinda halfway counting it here. Maybe not. This was a bad decision by me. Excited to reread it all again, to be able to finish off the whole thing, I guess. Why is this here, Sandra? I'm like really questioning myself right now. It's fine. I did finish the Earthsea cycle. Quartet. Earthsea Quartet. Yes, I finished that. That's his thing. I'm moving on now because now I feel stupid. Another thing, do we count this again, is Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. This is the same as the Bane Chronicles, where it is short stories, 12 I think, or 10, I don't even remember, that were released over time and then collected in this. I bought the wrong edition. I bought like a ugly hardcover thing, and every time I look at it I want to cry because I don't like this edition at all. Why did I fail so much? But yeah, this basically follows Simon, who goes to Shadowhunter Academy to become a Shadowhunter, and then like we have different short stories going back and forth in time. I don't remember if we will go forth. We at least go back in time to follow, for example, characters from the Infernal devices. It was so good. It gave so much to the story, and we definitely like go back, and then we already see the characters that we will meet in Chain of Gold later, and like the planning. Cassandra Clare's brain in like the way she has like created this world, how everything is connected. It's amazing. And yeah, it was so good. I don't know what more to tell you. I want to reread the whole Shadowhunter Chronicles because I want to reread the short stories because I don't remember every single one, and that's what I got to say about this. We then have Percy Jackson and the Olympians that I finally finished. I can't like tell you how it felt to like have been reading this series for so long and been hearing about it for so long and then never finishing it myself. Because I started this many years ago in Norwegian and I read 1, 2, 3. At the point I didn't continue, I wanted to read it in English and I was trying to get like the 4th and 5th one in matching kind of editions to my Norwegian ones for some reason, and then that didn't work out and then I ended up getting this box set. So I reread the whole thing in English again, but the point is that it was like additional problems apparently that made me not finish it. But I finished it finally and I need to continue like his other things and stuff, of course. And it's so good. It's so pure. Percy and the adventures you go to and the Greek mythology. I don't know what to tell you. Percy Jackson is like an icon, okay? An icon. Almost up together with Harry Potter, I guess. What Rick Riordan's doing right now. And Rick Riordan's presents and all. I don't know what to tell you. You know what it is. And if you haven't read it, it's so enjoyable and sweet. That's all. And the last series finally in this video today is the Renewal Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. I feel like this is kind of like random. The other ones are like all typical things and this is about more in present day. We are already in 2018, so that says a lot. It's only 2 years ago and that's why it felt so recent. So the first book is like a really popular one. I don't know how many actually completed the series, but it was a lot of hype back then on BookTube and stuff, and it is basically where this prince and runner runs from home because she doesn't want to go into this arranged marriage. There's the prince and assassin, and then we don't know who is who that she meets, and we follow all point of view. So that is the first one, and people love that for some reason, and I was like, I don't really care. The tone of the story when you say that, it's nothing what the book actually is, at least how we end up in the third one and the second one, and it's so weird, but like, it's enjoyable. I remember like in the first book when we actually find out about who is the assassin, who is the prince. That was the part of the book I enjoyed the most. I didn't like the beginning, I didn't care about all that, but when we came to like journeys and stuff, that was when I was like turning the pages and was really invested. I actually, do I have a review? I think I have a review of the first one. Don't watch it. And the second book just made the whole thing different, and the third book I had given up. I didn't like and I wasn't invested anymore in the characters or the plot. It was so predictable. Everything I knew was gonna happen, but there was no surprises in the end. I think I even talked about it in a wrap up somewhere, but like, you came to a point in the story where in the end you need to have this big final, right? And like, it's fine that you don't want to like add totally new things in the final book, but like literally it just went straight forward in a line and there was no cost or anything. So I was just like, okay, that was it. And now I can say that I have read it. I still haven't read the other spin-off thing in Set in This World, but I will one day. I have it and I'm excited to see how that would be, maybe more complex than this one, because it definitely did not hold its appeal to me as I finished it. That was 15 maybe seriouses I have finished, because some of these, do they count? Maybe Earthsea did not, but if it didn't, then we have 14, which is fine. 10 to 15 is what I'm planning to do. And yeah, what more to say? I'm done. This is part 2. Hope you are ready for part 3. And actually I think when we had part 3 is like, we are basically in present day. I finished a lot of series in 2018 because I had this challenge thing, so the rest is like basically 2018 and then there's nothing almost, because I'm really bad at finishing series. Maybe these videos will inspire me more to do so. Thank you so much for watching. My voice is dying. You'll see me soon in a new video. Bye!